Text number 29. Sorry, text number 28. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So chapter 1, entitled Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. Text number 28. Arjuna Uvacha Drishtva Swajanam Krishna Yuyutsum Samupashtitam Siddhanti Mama Katrani Mukam Cha Parishushati. Arjuna Uvacha Drishtva Swajanam Krishna Yuyutsum Samupashtitam Siddhanti Mama Katrani Mukam Cha Parishushati. Arjuna Uvacha Drishtva Swajanam Krishna Yuyutsum Samupashtitam Siddhanti Mama Katrani Mukam Cha Parishushati. Arjuna Uvacha Drishvemam Swajanam Krishna Yuyutsum Samupashtita Sedanti Mama Gatrani Mukam Cha Parishushyati Arjuna Uvacha Drishvemam Swajanam Krishna Yuyutsum Samupashtitam Siddhanti Mama Gatrani Mukam Cha Parushashyati Krishna Okay, word for word translation. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna said, Drishtva, after seeing, Imam, all these, Swajanam, kinsmen, Krishna, O Krishna, Yuyutsum, all in a fighting spirit, Samupashtitam, present, Siddhanti, are quivering, Mama, my, Gatrani, limbs of the body, Mukham, mouth, Cha, also, Parishushyati is drying up. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. Please repeat after me. Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. Purport. Any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities which are found in godly persons or in the demigods, whereas a non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications, by education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. As such, Arjuna, just after seeing his kinsmen, friends and relatives on the battlefield, was at once overwhelmed by compassion for them, who had so decided to fight amongst themselves. As far as his soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. And while he was so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver, and his mouth became dry. He was more or less astonished to see their fighting spirit. Practically, the whole community, All blood relatives of Arjuna had come to fight with him. This overwhelmed a kind devotee like Arjuna. Although it is not mentioned here, still one can easily imagine that not only were Arjuna's bodily limbs quivering and his mouth drying up, but he was also crying out of compassion. Such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but due to his soft heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. It is said, therefore, Yashyati Bhakti Bhagavati Akinchana Sarve Gunaistatra Samaste Shura Haravabha Tasya Kuto Mahadguna Mano Rate Nashyati Dhavato Bahi. One who has unflinching devotee for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods, but one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on the mental plane. He is certainly to be attracted at the glaring material energy. Bhagavatam 5:18-12. Okay. Arjuna Uvacha Drishtve Mam Swajanam Krishna Yuyutsum Samupashtitam Sedanti Mama Katrani Mukam Cha Parishushyati. So let us look at what the chain of events have been so far. So we see that there is a battlefield and Arjuna is witnessing that there is a battle going to ensue here. And then he tells Krishna to please take my chariot in the middle of both the armies. For what reason? To see who is on the other side so hell-bent to fight this ghastly war, which is all between blood relatives. So at first, when he tells Krishna to take the chariot in the middle, he is labeling everyone in the Kaurava army as being the same as Duryodhan, like the evil-minded Duryodhan. But as soon as he comes into the middle and Krishna jokingly says that look ahead, just behold all the Kauravas present here. Just because Arjuna knew that there's all the Kauravas, so it was kind of perplexing as to why he asked who has come here to fight. So Krishna jokingly said, look at all the Kurus present here. And Krishna knew what was going in Arjuna's mind. So he placed the chariot very strategically in between Bhishma and Dronacharya. And this sight of seeing Bhishma and Dronacharya on the other side caused Arjuna to break down. And now we see how he is breaking down. So from seeing the battlefield and seeing the people on the other side of the battlefield, he has created a particular response, an emotional response has come about. From thinking that everyone there is on the bad side to actually, no, they are my relatives. And he gives the entire list of so many different grades of relatives on the other side. And because of this overwhelming of emotions, now there is a physical reaction in him. Now what is the physical reaction? So it started in this verse. It said that I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. So his intense emotions are now showing on the physical level. You can now see it on his body. So the Bhagavad Gita highlights the profound impact that emotions have in shaping our actions and also our destiny. We'll see later on in the Gita, in chapter 3, text number 42, it says, Indriyani parani ahur, indriyebhya param mana, manasas tu para buddhir, yo buddhir paratas tu saha. Meaning, the working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind, and he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. So it's only recently that in medical science there has been some sort of acceptance that this mental state of a person has an impact on the physical state of that person. Before 50 years, even the concept of mental health was considered to be a very taboo subject. No one used to accept that you could have mental illnesses. But nowadays, it's become such a big thing. Especially, it is said that at the end of the 21st century, mental health will be the leading cause of deaths in the world, more than anything else. So now, there is at least some sort of acceptance that there is a link between what the mind does and the effect it has on the body. So that is a very important to understand that this entire body is made of three different levels. There is, of course, the gross body, then there is a subtle body, and beyond both of them is the soul. And this knowledge was already given in our Vedic texts. It's only now that medical science is understanding the importance of the interlinkages between these three. But this knowledge was already accepted and understood in the bygone ages. So it is also said that the emotions, which are the faculty of the mind, they are very, very difficult to overcome. It's very difficult to try and control your emotions, because what happens is, Krishna says in the 6th chapter that the mind can be your greatest friend and at the same time can become your greatest enemy. It can become your greatest enemy when it is in control and when you are not in control, right? And in 342, the hierarchy is given that the highest is the soul. The soul is meant to control the intelligence. Intelligence is meant to control the mind. The mind is supposed to control the senses. And so when you go to that level, you understand that the basic principle is that there is a soul. There is a distinction between the soul and matter, between spirit and matter. If you do not have this knowledge, then there is nothing to separate. So you will just take yourself to be your mind, and so the mind can run free, because you'll make the mistake that I am my mind. As there was this one French mathematician by the name of Descartes, and he said that I think, therefore I am. And so he only went to the point that just because I have a mind, I am that mind, and whatever the mind says, that's what I want. So this is a mistake that people do. They don't see beyond the mind. They don't see beyond the subtle body. They only look at the material level. And so you come into so many problems in that sort of philosophy. So in the previous verse, we had discussed three things: vision, intention, and perception. VIP. It's a very important principle to understand this. V stands for vision, I stands for intention, and P stands for perception. There's so many things that come into our vision, and whatever we see has a direct impact on how we perceive a situation, right? You might come, like for example, there's a story of a person who comes into a movie theater, and the movie has already started, and then he sees that on the screen there is the picture of a family, a father playing with his two kids, and they seem to be having such a good time. And all of a sudden, the police come and shoot down the man. And when you just go with that knowledge, you'll be thinking, hey, what has this man done? There's such unfair treatment that he's got from the police. That he's just been gunned down while he was playing with his kids. He seemed to be such a nice person. But the fact is, you don't know what happened in the first part of the movie. Maybe he is a wanted criminal who was a mastermind of a terrorist attack. You don't know that. So when you come halfway into a movie and you try to see, your vision will show you that this person is a very good person, but you do not know the backstory. So your vision has changed your perception about something. When you see the policeman gunning that person down, you think that, oh, the police are wrong and the man was right, but you do not know the backstory. So it's very important that we don't let our vision change our perception too much. And it's a problem when the vision changes the perception so much that it wavers our intention. So Arjuna's intention was to fight. That was very clear. But then when he saw all the Swajanam, as Arjuna says, my people, yeah, then there's already attachment. And he's already seeing that this is wrong, that I should not be fighting this war. So he let the vision of the battlefield change his perception of the army and has wavered his intention to fight. Similarly, what we can learn from this is that we need to safeguard our intentions, provided that intention is guided in the right way. We need to first clear our intention in life. And the highest intention in life, as we know, is to understand and revive our dormant Krishna consciousness. That is our leading intention in life. Everything that we do has to follow that intention. And then when something happens and it wavers your thing, we have to be very careful. Oh, we need to safeguard it. Maybe somebody said something about spirituality, and then it started creating doubts in our head. No, we need to be very informed with scriptures. Yeah, like Arjuna had Krishna himself to guide him, and we have Krishna through his words. So when we keep on reading and understanding Krishna's messages and instructions through the Gita, through the Bhagavatam, through the Guru Parampara system, and we have so many doubts, those doubts can waver our perception and vision of whether spirituality is actually the right thing in our life. But we need to safeguard it. We need to keep our intention very safe with the help of knowledge, because intention is the intention is the mark of intelligence. The intelligence is what controls your intention. Mind controls the perception. So you don't have to let the mind overpower the intelligence. The intelligence has to control the mind. Okay? So Arjuna was so overwhelmed by intense compassion, as it was discussed in the previous verse, that he just could not think straight now. His thinking had gotten twisted, and thus he could not logically proceed towards his goal of eliminating the Kauravas. And so when people say that you need to think straight, what it means is that you don't let the vision and perception waver the intention. All three are aligned. When all three are aligned, that means you're thinking straight. And if vision and perception changes your intention, then your thinking is becoming twisted. And if you are ever gone into, if you're using Google Maps or navigation, normally the straightest path is always the quickest path. So we always have to try and think straight so that we can go quickly to our destination. And our destination is what? To go back to Krishna and reawaken our love for Krishna. That is the straightest path that we have to do, or that journey we have to undertake in our lives. So the question now comes is, what is the root cause of Arjuna's emotions getting the better of him? And this is where it answers that question, where he says, Drishtvamam Swajanam Krishna. This is the problem. The problem is this one line, that Arjuna's root problem is that he considers the enemy as Swajanam, meaning his own people. Now this is because he's thinking from the bodily platform of life. It's considered, this is known as Dehatma Buddhi. meaning that it is like the philosophy or vision of life based around the body. And it is so strong that even Arjuna was gotten bewildered. So everyone is our own man because we are all Krishna's parts and parcels. So when one becomes Krishna conscious, he can see everyone as one's own man. And as it says in chapter 5, text number 18, Krishna says, Vidya Vinaya Sampate Brahmane Gavihastini Suni Chaiva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshana. That means that the humble sage, by virtue of knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. Therefore, we see in the Vedic times there was an importance given to the cultivation of jnana and vairagya to remove this greatest barrier that we have to spiritual progress. The greatest barrier is this concept of our man, own manship, thinking of some people as ours and thinking of the rest as not ours. This all comes because of bodily concept of life. So the whole Vedic system was meant to first give gyan. The gyan was what? That there is spiritual knowledge to understand that we are beyond the body, that we are actually souls, we are parts and parcels of Krishna. And then when we have that knowledge, when we understand who we really are, then that becomes the right foundational stone for doing everything else in life. When you don't even know who you are, you're going to make all the wrong decisions in your life because your starting is on a false level. So no matter what you build after that, the foundation is very weak. It's on quicksand, as I say. You will not be able to build anything substantial on that. So that is the first part of Vedic civilization, to give the gyan, spiritual knowledge. And then when you've got that, then you learn vairagya. You learn detachment because you see that nothing is actually yours. Everything only belongs to Krishna, and you also belong to Krishna. So with the path of jnana and vairagya together, you learn to basically operate in this world in a very detached way, detached materially, but attached spiritually. Vairagya has two meanings. One is detachment, and Vairagya also means Vairagya. Ragya means attachment, and Vai means Vishesh, so special attachment. So Vairagya also means special attachment, and the special attachment means spiritual attachment. So spiritual attachment is equals to material detachment. It goes hand in hand. Okay? Now it's because we don't have spiritual knowledge, because as time has passed, this Vedic civilization has degraded. And degradation means that we have forgotten this very essential point. And then what happens is our material attachment increases. That's why in Canto 5, chapter number 5, text number 8, Rishabdev instructs his 100 sons that Pumsa Striya Mituni Bhavametam, that the whole world is based on sex life. That man gets attracted to woman, woman gets attracted to man. And because of this attraction, this creates a knot in the heart, a knot of attachment, a knot of emotions, a knot of getting together. And this is nature's shackle. This is nature's bondage. Because when you start thinking of somebody else as yours, then anything that expands from that, be it children, be it family, be it community, be it your house, be it your business, everything becomes on a bodily platform. So that attraction between male and female is the cause of bondage in this world. And it's such a strong bondage that even Arjuna gets affected by this and is showed in his bodily transformation. There are a total of 12 transformations that you see in Arjuna between text number 28 all the way to 30. So in these three verses, there are 12 different transformations that happen in Arjuna. So very quickly, the first one is that his limbs of the body are quivering, his mouth is drying up. Then as Prabhupada writes in the purport, that he is crying out of compassion. Then his whole body is trembling, the hair is standing on end, the Gandiva bow is slipping from his hand, his skin is burning, he is unable to stand, he is forgetting himself, his mind is reeling, and he sees only causes of misfortune. All this is because he is trapped in the bodily concept of life. And as we said, that there is a whole system, a whole hierarchy, that the soul is the highest. The soul has to control the intelligence controls the mind controls the senses, and the senses interact in a regulated way with the sense objects or dull matter. So, this hierarchy highlights a very important point, that the mind is put ahead of the senses. So, if the mind is absorbed in something, the bodily symptoms or the senses will work according to that mind. So, therefore, the yoga system was all meant to control this very difficult and very obstinate opponent called the mind. Because when you can control the mind, your senses are automatically controlled. So that's why I said you need to train your mind. For example, in ISKCON, we train our mind to eat only Krishna Prasad. Because when you only eat Krishna Prasad and we keep on vibrating Krishna's name, then we can control the sense of the tongue. That is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has sung, Sharira Vidya Jal, Jodidriya Taikal, Jibbe Fele Vishaya Sagare. So what does it mean? Sharira Avidya Jal. Sharira, the body, is avidya. It's a avidya jal. Means it is a network of nescience. Now, why is it called a network of nescience? Is because we only got this body because we have forgotten Krishna and we wanted to lord it over material nature. That is why we have got a material body. Otherwise, what is the point of having a material body? The whole reason why we got the material body is because we have forgotten Krishna and we wanted to become Krishna. We wanted to lord. We didn't want to become servants. We wanted to become the Lord. And so Krishna tells you, okay, you go to the material world, there you can lord it as much as you want. And that is why you got a material body. And that is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, Sharira Avidya Jal. It's a network of nescience. And the only way to try and get away from it is to control this most strong sense of the tongue by only eating Krishna Prasadam and also vibrating the holy names of the Lord. So the whole point of yoga is to train up the mind so nicely that we can remember Krishna at all times and especially at the time of death. So as Krishna says in chapter 8, text number 6, that yam yam vapis maran loke tyajati ante kalevaram. Now whatever you think at the time of death, that is the destination that you will attain. So what is the destination that we want to attain? Is we want to attain Krishna. But Krishna says that you can only attain me when Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvataha tvakta deham puna janma naiti mam eti so Arjuna. We'll only be able to attain Krishna when we have understood his activities, his birth, his activities in full, in truth, in tatvata. Now that's a big thing. How can we understand Krishna in tatvata? That is why he says in the Gita again, chapter 7, text number 3, Yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvata. That the only people who know this in truth, they are very rare. One in 1,000 maybe. There are so many people who are aiming for liberation. And out of those, only one of them actually knows Krishna in truth. So who are those people who know Krishna in truth? That that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that if you want to know Krishna in truth, you need to be able to do continuous kirtan. Trinadapi sunichena, tarorapi sahishnuna, amanina manadena, kirtanya sadahari. When you do kirtanya sadahari, you will be able to understand Krishna in truth. And how do you know this? What is the basis of this? Again, you go back to the Gita. In 9:14, Krishna says, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha drida vratam namasyantas chamam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. That the great souls are those souls who are satatam kirtayanto mam. They are continuously glorifying me. Then they are endeavoring with great determination. They are offering obeisances to me all the time. And so they are always engaged in worshipping me. And so Krishna says that the people who know him in truth are in essence bhaktas. They are bhakti yogis. And we need to keep on practicing bhakti yogi, the path of bhakti yoga, so that we can keep on remembering Krishna at every moment of our life. So that even if we practice now, then maybe at the end of life, you'll be able to remember him. And so this is one really wonderful prayer by King Kulashekara in his Mukunda Mala Stotra. And this verse Prabhupada ji used to love. He has quoted it again and again in his lectures. In fact, he even made a recording of this verse that I'm about to tell you, because he loved it so much that it encapsulates everything that we need to do. He says, Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam Advaya Me Vishatu Manasa Raja Hamsam Prana Prayana Samaye Kappa Vattapitaha Kanta Varodana Vidhau Swaranam Kutaste. Meaning, O Lord Krishna, at this moment, let the royal swan of my mind enter the tangled stem of the lotus of your feet. How will it be possible for me to remember you at the time of death, when my throat will be choked up with mucus, bile, and air? And so this is such a wonderful verse that King Kulashekara is saying, at this moment, I am fit. I am able to remember you. Please take me away from this earth. In this state where I'm able to remember you. Because when the time of my natural death comes, I don't know whether I will be able to remember you or not. It is such a paradox that the time when is the most important time according to scriptures, the exact moment of death, it corresponds with the greatest moment of pain that we will go through in life. It is such a it's a contradiction that the time when we really need Krishna is the time when he will give us the most pain, because that is the greatest test of life. Are you able to remember Krishna at the end of your life? And so for us to prepare for this test, no matter how many tests and exams we have passed through in our life, all those are insignificant. What really matters is this final test of life. We cannot cheat our way through it. We have to actually, really feel that we need to remember Krishna. As it is said, that our mind always runs to the place where it has found the greatest shelter in its life, especially during times of crisis. So if during life you have not experienced Krishna to be the greatest shelter, when the time of death comes, when you are in such strong pain, where will your mind go? Your mind will go to the place which has got the greatest shelter. And if that shelter is not Krishna, then what is the point of all your devotion? Prabhupada always makes this point that you might be a great devotee, yes, but it will be tested at the time of death. And again, the example that keeps on giving is just like sugarcane. when the sugarcane is put through that crusher, what will come out is what was in it. It's not that you put sugarcane and you expect orange juice to come out. If you put sugarcane in, only sugarcane will come out. So a devotee is only ever realized how great he is based on how he has disappeared from this world. That is why we like to, and there's a tradition of celebrating the disappearance days of devotees, because at that time is when the full glory of the devotee comes to light. You might not know, somebody sitting next to you, you don't know how deep a devotee is. You really don't know until and unless when you see that person crossing the final frontier of death. Only then will you be able to really appreciate how great that soul was. And we make so many offenses in our mind when we try to disregard these people. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that we have to keep on giving our respects to everyone, because we do not know how much pure a fellow devotee is. We make up so many perceptions about the level of a person just based on their outward expression, outward demeanor, but we do not know what is inside. And so Prabhupada also says that when we chant, we have to do chanting with the sincere purpose of wanting to love Krishna. We cannot do parrot-like chanting. Even a parrot can say Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Even a parrot can say. But as soon as an eagle or a bird catches the neck, what is going to happen to the parrot? Will he say Hare Krishna? Will say twan, twan, twan. That is what the parrot will scream. That at that time there's no Hare Krishna. That time, so we have to not become parrot-like devotees. We have to be substance devotees. We have to become really, really emotionally, physically, mentally, in every aspect, 100% Krishna conscious. Then only will we be able to cross this final frontier. And the question is, when should we start to do this? Or we say, we can enjoy life, and then in the last few years we'll be able to enjoy, and we'll be able to come to the temple and chant and be happy, and we'll be able to go back home, back to Godhead. No. Prahlad Maharaj, he says in Bhagavatam, Komara acharet prajno dharman bhagavatan iha dhurlabam manusham janmam tad api adhruvam arthadham. Very beautiful verse. Prahlad Maharaj says that you have to start from young age, the age of Komaram Acharet Pragno. You start from your young age, even just 5 years old. You start, because Durlabam Manusham Janmam, this human body of life that we have got, is like any other body. It's very temporary, but it has a very special condition. It is able to get Arthadam. It is able to obtain that which is permanent. Something that is temporary, which is achieving something permanent, how special would it be? Yeah? Think about it. If you, actually Prabhupada makes this very nice comment. Actually, there was this one rich man. He comes to Prabhupada and he's bragging about how great of a businessman he is. He says, "Oh, I've got a factory here, and I've got a factory there. I've got a factory coming up here. I've got a factory there." He's boasting to Prabhupada, and then Prabhupada just says, "Yes, but you started with so much. I started with 40 rupees in my bag, and now I've got 108 temples. Who is the bigger businessman?" And he was finished. He could not say anything. So Prabhupada cut him, and he said that actually even this is not nothing. This is not much. Actually, the greatest businessman is the one who utilizes something temporary and gets something permanent at the end of it. We have got this human body. This human body is only going to last for a few years. But with this human body, we'll be able to achieve a permanent spiritual position with Krishna. So if that's why Prahlad Maharaj says it's arthadam. Now Bhagavatam is wonderful. At one side it says that the body is kleshadham. It gives misery. And in this verse it says it is arthadam. It is a giver of the greatest thing. So how do you look at it? It's giving you klesha if you are stuck in the bodily concept of life. And it is an arthadam when you realize the spiritual potency of this body that you can get. If you can utilize the body in the best possible way to try to reawaken your Krishna consciousness, then you have actually utilized this gift, this prasadam of Krishna in the right way. So Arjuna has now set the scene for the whole Gita to be spoken now. Krishna has transformed the entire battlefield into a huge classroom. Sometimes we don't understand something just based on theoretical knowledge. We need to see it be applied in life. And there's no stage more intense in life than on a battlefield. So Krishna has turned the most intense moment a person can have in life on the verge of death. Because in the battlefield, you're looking at death in your face. You do not know whether you're going to survive till the end of the day. It's such an intense place that the reality, it's immediate and also ultimate. Immediate is death can happen anytime, and ultimate is where am I going after death? And only at a battlefield can both these questions on the imminent nature of life and on the ultimate feature of life are both going to be answered by Krishna to Arjuna. So we have to understand this point that Arjuna was put into ignorance for our benefit. And he is also showing us from his own personal example how to understand the Gita. He has 3 levels of surrender in the Gita. The first level of surrender is 2.7. When he says, Krishna, you become my guru, I am going to be your disciple. That is the first level of surrender. That first level of surrender means you surrender to a teacher. You surrender to a guru. Then what happens? The second surrender comes in 10:14. When Arjuna says that I will take whatever you say as the complete truth. So when the guru is giving instruction, you are accepting every part of it. You are accepting it's not an a la carte, it's a full buffet. You are taking everything on board. You are not taking some part here, I like this part I will reject. No. This Prabhupada says, this is Ardho Kukutti Nyaya. Meaning, Nyaya means logic, and Kukutti means chicken, and Ardha means half. So, a person will be like, oh, the back side of a chicken is giving me an egg. That is valuable. But the front side of the chicken is eating so much, it's costing me a lot of money. So, better off I cut the head of the chicken and keep the back part. So I'll keep on getting the eggs and I don't have to feed the chicken. So what happens? It's all finished. As soon as you accept one part of the Gita and reject the other part, it's lost all its meaning. That's a different Gita you're reading. No, and that is why Prabhupada is written. Bhagavad Gita as it is. You have to accept it as it is in its entirety. So the first level of surrender is surrender to Guru. Second level of surrender is to accept fully all the instructions of the Guru. And then the final level of surrender is when Arjuna says in 1873, Karishe Vachanam Tava. When Arjuna completely surrenders to Krishna and says that I am going to align myself to your will. When I'm completely, you take charge of me. I will do as you tell me to do. That is the highest level of surrender. So there's 3 levels of surrender. Surrender to Guru, that's good, but that's not enough. Surrender to understanding and hearing the full message of the Guru. Still very good, not enough. The perfection is when you are completely surrendered and to aligning yourself with uh, with Krishna. And this three levels of surrender is also perfectly illustrated by Bali Maharaj. Now, when Bali Maharaj and Vaman Dev, there was that whole pastime, and Vaman Dev asked, just give me 3 steps of land. Just give me 3 steps of land. And in 2 steps, Krishna had taken, or Vaman Dev had taken the entire universe. So, what is the last thing worth giving? So, this is what it says. In the first step, what did Bali Maharaj said? You ask whatever you want to ask. So, he was ready to hear. The first surrender. He is ready to hear Vamandev, what he wants. That's the first surrender. At least he's willing to hear. Second, he's willing to take on everything that Vamandev wants to give. Second step, he's taken everything. So that's the second level of surrender. But Vamandev was not yet very satisfied because where's my third step? And then Balivara said, put it on my head. This signifies that I am going to be 100% aligned to you. I am 100% surrendered to you. And at that time, that is the symbolism of the 3 steps of Vamadev, to show the 3 levels of surrender. That until and unless you come to that level, that where you can say, Karishe Vachanam Tava, where you can tell to Krishna that you do whatever you want me to do. And that's what Prabhupada said. In the Jalodutta, he writes, you have brought me here to America. I do not know what your plan is. But because you have brought me here, there must be some reason. So now you make me dance as you like. Complete surrender. So this is what it is. This is what the Gita is meant to do. The Gita is meant to make us want to completely surrender to Him. When we really realize that no, Krishna is the greatest shelter. He is our greatest well-wisher. And He says this so many times. Yeah, He says, just surrender to me. Yeah, do not fear. I will protect you. I will take away all your reactions. So this is all it is. Okay, any questions? Any comments? Okay. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.